This week, the Prime Minister issued branding for a women's forum that managed to unflatteringly depict women's bodies and include a phallus. He then reverse fat-shamed the Leader of the Opposition, somehow implying that Mr Albanese, by losing weight, was now inauthentic. I'm wondering, does the Liberal Party still have a women problem? And is this the kind of leadership that Australians can expect?
Sarah Henderson?
Well, firstly, on that logo, I agree. The Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, not the Prime Minister, not the Prime Minister's office, they had nothing to do with that logo.
Although they say, I'll just jump in there, they say the statement from the Prime Minister's office, I have to put this on the record, said that there was wide consultation about that logo, and yet neither the Prime Minister nor his office were consulted. So, you know,
well, I'm just
wide consultation.
Well, the
PMC,
Department,
yeah,
the
Prime Minister and Cabinet,
Prime Minister and Cabinet is a very large department, and it does consult very widely. But just putting that on the record.
Let's have a look at the logo if you're missing it. We'll just show that for a second in case you missed this wonderful bit of design.
It looks like a gun.
What do you see, Roxane? When you look at that, what do you see?
I mean, who's drawing the dirty pictures? I don't see.
I do agree that that was very misplaced, and I'm very pleased that the department is going back to the drawing board.
Let's get to the serious point, though.
Can I just say, as a minister, as a former minister, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You hire some wretched consultant who goes away and does all the consultations and comes up with all the... And they put them in front of you and you say, oh, I don't like that, it looks like phallus. No, Minister, you wouldn't know. We've consulted widely. And if you reject it, you're then, why are you challenging public service advice? And if you accept it, then it's your fault because you should have...
Are these designers men who are putting it in front of you? That's the question.
No, I'm just giving you an example that, I mean, when you're taking advice from so-called experts, it's very difficult to be able to distinguish between what you think. I mean, you look at it and you think that's rubbish, and you say it's rubbish, and the consultant and the public service department on the other side of the table says, oh, Minister, I don't think you understand how widely we consult.
Thomas, is that something you scrawled on a wall once when you were a naughty kid?
I suppose I did, yeah. But I just think it's laughable, you know, like that this has even passed through. I mean, geez, it's just...
Am I missing something? It took me a while to figure out that it was a tiny little purple willy.
Well, I mean, there are so many things wrong with it. Like, it's literally...
I thought at first it was the W, and I'm like,
okay, it is the W.
It is, but it's just bad. And also, anyone under the age of, say, 40 knows that purple, something of length is the eggplant emoji.
Yes.
And
is that right?
this is true.
I mean, it's just tragic. And this is why diversity and inclusion matter, because clearly there were no black women in that room.
Yeah.
Maybe no women.
Yeah.
Well, that's very true. I mean, a woman in the room would have gone, if she didn't see, you know, dick and balls, sorry, are we after 9 o'clock yet? Would have seen boobs.
Frankenbeans.
Yeah, would have seen boobs and gone, that's equally as bad. Anyway, look, it was an absolute snafu, and so clearly they've gone back to the drawing board. But Libby's question also goes to this repeated issue of whether the government and the Prime Minister has a women's problem. Can I just read this to you, Sarah Henderson? So this is, well, let's play this. Let's have a listen to what the Prime Minister had to say at a town hall on Monday. This is one of the points that, that Libby's going to. Have a look.
I'm not pretending to be anyone else. We're still wearing the same glasses. And, sadly, the same suits. And I weigh about the same, and I don't mind a bit of Italian cake either. So I'm happy in my own skin. I'm not pretending to be anyone else. And when you're Prime Minister, you can't pretend to be anyone else. You've got to know who you are.
So they're the comments that Libby Black's calling out, and of course that was his attempt to call out Mr Albanese is inauthentic. Just reading here, this is from your government's own National Men's Health Strategy, Sarah Henderson. The high levels of chronic conditions among men in Australia reinforces the need for an increasing focus on promoting healthy lifestyle choices and decreasing health risk factors, including smoking, overweight and obesity, physical inactivity and poor dietary choices, all of which are more prevalent in men than women. So is Anthony Albanese following the national guidelines better than the Prime Minister is?
Virginia, I would have no idea. I think...
Well, he just said that he wasn't.
To be very fair, I think the Prime Minister was making the point that in Anthony Albanese we don't see someone that we can trust as an authentic politician.
Well, he was trying to make that point via clothes and weight and glasses. So let's return to the question: is that the kind of leadership we can expect to see from your government?
Look, I think that's a bit of an unfair question, Virginia.
I don't think Libby
the
Black's
Prime
question was
Minister
unfair.
was really trying to say that a leopard doesn't change his or her spots. And we do know that Anthony Albanese has a track record of supporting high taxes on housing, on retirees.
No, we're segueing into we're segueing into a political rant that doesn't relate to the question.
No, I'm not ranting, but let me just make this point.
That's not what the question was, Sarah
the Prime Minister was talking about authenticity and that he's not going to change who he is.
And that being overweight is authentic, was what he was saying.
Well,
it is for him.
He was talking about his own weight. I'm not going to talk about his weight or anyone's weight, frankly.
Even though he was speaking about Anthony Albanese.
But I think that was the point he was making.
Let's go to Anne Ali.
I just found it really distasteful. And, you know, the benefit of the doubt, it was an error of judgment. But I actually think that's more the Prime Minister's character, unfortunately. And I don't like it. And I don't think a lot of Australians like it, that when they see our leaders talking like that.
Do you think that sort of attempt at calling out what he clearly wants to be seen as inauthenticity, do you think that lands? Does that work, Thomas?
Not when you're being a hypocrite. I think that Scott Morrison is pretending to be a good Prime Minister.
What's the hypocrisy?
Well, the hypocrisy is that his government has failed in all sorts of things for so long. I mean, the hypocrisy is that he's a pretender, you know? I mean, he's pretending to care about Australians. He actually needs an empathy coach to be able to pretend well, and he's not doing it well.
I think that's really deeply offensive, Thomas. I mean, all of us...
It's not offensive, it's Thomas's view and he's allowed. I want to go to Roxane.
No, but
Roxane
I think it is offensive because all of us...
let me hear from Roxane.
Just to say, all of us who go into politics and public life do it for the right reasons, and myself, everyone.
Okay.
And I just think that was probably not...
Well, he shouldn't attack
really
Albanese's weight and what he
I think Thomas is allowed to criticise the Prime Minister. It's kind of why we're here. But
Well, I'm allowed to say that it's offensive too.
Well, I don't know about offensive, but
well, that's
you may
my
disagree.
view.
You know, I think anytime you bring someone's body and their lives into public discourse for nefarious reasons, it just is a really sad reflection on your character or the lack thereof. And when politicians do it, it's really incredibly hypocritical because, I mean, many of them live wildly, supposedly unhealthy lifestyles and then want to when it's convenient, start to point at one another and say, oh no, look, I'm still healthy. I like my Italian cake. And you know, why? Is that really going to help the people of Australia right now after 2 years of lockdown and a reeling economy and so many other issues? And of course, many countries around the world are dealing with this. But I think it's really challenging for everyday people to see their leader speak like this and insult another candidate and then think, this person has my best interest at heart.
Let's go to our next question.